Hi, it's Vita Luca, and welcome to my channel. Editing Whitney here. So I realized for this video, my whole first half is just gone. Don't know what happened. When I was recording, it said that it was recording, and then my screen went black, and I just figured, and then, it stopped recording, of course. And so I figured that I would still at least have the footage, but it's completely gone. So I gotta go back up. So, hey, welcome to my channel. It's Vita Luca, and here's finally my update that I was supposed to give you guys. Or if you even want to hear it, it's quite a big update. It's on everything that's been happening over the last 2 months, including things that aren't coronavirus related, things that my husband and I have talked about. So you might want to watch it. It's a big story time. But anyways, so February 28th, I ended up dislocating my shoulder. And so I only went to work about 4 times that entire month of March, just due to the coronavirus happening. So I went in on the first Monday and Tuesday because I needed to make some phone calls for some of my customers. And then I was just on home office for the rest of the week, just due to being in a full body sling. It's too hot to really sit in the office. And at home, I would basically just wear the sling. I wouldn't wear a shirt over it you kind of have to in public. And so it just made it a lot easier doing this all at home. And then also, so for the next week, I ended up going in again for the Monday and Wednesday because I needed to make phone calls. And by then, one of my coworkers said that she's been in indirect contact with someone who had coronavirus. So by that point, the government was already planning by the next Monday that everybody be on home office if they can, or non-essential workers are just off. They're just done. And they provided money for businesses to assist with that so they don't have to lay off employees, which you'll hear about more later. And so, I ended up just staying home until I was done working with them in May. Don't mind the stuff. I'm using my arm to do this, and it's hard. But I was figured it'll be quick, so I'll just use my arm. But, it's super shaky. I won't do this again. Also, heads up, I'll be wearing this outfit in my next 2 thumbnails because I forgot to make thumbnails. So that's why I'll be wearing a different outfit that I don't even wear in the videos at all. FYI. But peace for now. Keep watching the video, there's more. So I was supposed to be wearing that sling for 4 weeks, and I got a text from the doctor just saying hey, due to the coronavirus, we're not working anymore, so you're gonna just have to come back later. And so, I still haven't seen a doctor in regards to that. I don't feel like it at this point. I stopped wearing my sling at about the 3-week mark because it was just so painful to keep my shoulder, my arm in place. It was just cramping everywhere. And it just felt better to use it. So I might have potentially injured myself more. I'm just going to wait for the next one, and then I'll be okay, just give me surgery to fix this. Basically, if I manage to dislocate my shoulder for the 8th time, because I also realized in my last video that was my 7th time. Because I forgot about an incident in Winnipeg where I dislocated my shoulder at a trampoline park. Forgot about that. I just recently remembered that. I've dislocated my shoulder way too many times at this point to even remember each individual incident. By the way, those are my wigs in the background. I just leave them sitting on my windowsill. The really nice ones that I've already fixed and could wear. I haven't gotten to the point of wearing them yet. I might do them in a future video. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I just leave them sitting back on my windowsill so they don't get ruined from the ones that I've already fully fixed and that I like. So there's that. That happened. And then just shortly after that, I found out that the company I was working for, which I don't work for anymore, they decided to cut everyone's wages to what the government was going to be paying for them. Because for the government in the Czech Republic, instead of people losing their jobs because they can't work, they were providing a certain set percentage to all employers so that they can continue to at least pay their employees until they can get back up and running again. And so what my company decided to do was that they were just going to pay us that 60% that they were getting from the government, so that they were just completely 100% profiting off of us, because we weren't expenses anymore. And like my specific portion of the company, we were already being paid by another company. So that company was paying our wages. And we all had a feeling that they were like paying more than what we were actually getting, so that the company was again profiting off of us. And so now they were paying us the 60% while still most likely taking that full portion from this other company to like really fully profit off of their department that was to handle that one company. Yeah, so by May, no longer had a job. Coronavirus happened, and that's just a mess of its own. It was very difficult to find a job. Like, I was having interviews and everything with people in April, and they were like, oh, okay, well, we really like you, and we want to like bring you to the next phase, which would be an in-person interview. But because of the coronavirus, we don't know when that's going to be. And we're looking mainly to hire employees for like June, July. Still haven't been contacted by any of them, though glad to say by the date that you're going to see this, that I do in fact have a new job. So I'm really grateful for them. And they don't have many benefits, but my last company didn't either. Like, they just gave us multi-sport cards and fed us once a month and let us wear jeans once a month. Where with this company, we can wear basically whatever we would like. I don't think we can wear sweats, but we can at least wear jeans. I've noticed a lot of my coworkers wear jeans. I'm still like dressing to impress because I'm in my probation period, so I don't want to just lose the job, because I'm really glad that they took a chance on me. And they also provided me with my own computer, so now I can edit my videos, so I can continue doing YouTube, and that makes it a lot easier than sharing computers with my husband, which has also helped with getting my YouTube channel back up and running and everything as well, because I had like previously like 2 videos that were supposed to go up back in March that I didn't get to doing them. So with the help of this company, I was able to do that because they were nice enough to let me keep a computer, basically. Yeah, I also had my birthday in May and turned 23, and that was a huge mess in itself, because I'm looking for a job and like either getting completely rejected, or I'm going through interviews and they're just like, oh, we don't know when we can work with you or hire you or anything. And then also we were looking at buying a house, which we found was like, it was going to be a 3-bedroom house. It was maybe about 20 minutes away by car from Prague. So it wasn't actually in Prague, which also kept the price like really, really low, which is what we liked, because we're buying a house for the cost of an apartment. And so basically it was in like a set of side-by-sides, townhouses kind of thing. So it was right in the middle. It had 252 meters squared of the property. I really don't know what that is in feet. Apparently, if you multiply it by 3, you'll know. So 252 meters squared, and then the house itself was 120 meters squared of it, and it was going to be really nice. It had a few things that you could customize yourself, which I really liked. There was still a lot of work that I would have to do in after, because I really wanted the house to be like American. I wanted like a big kitchen, which we would have to put in ourselves anyways. They were just going to give us like a section of the house empty, and then that's where your kitchen would go. So I was actually really happy with that I would get to go and choose my own kitchen. It didn't happen. We were in the process. We came up with all the money for it to be able to put down the deposit, because it's a project, so it was going to be done next like spring 2021-ish is when they said. But we had a lawyer look over the contract, and he just didn't recommend it. He was like, they have this huge lien against the land. If they don't pay it, the bank might come and just repo all the houses. And then like the realtor was also a lawyer, and she's like, well, no, that won't happen, because XYZ, they have this set up to protect the people who buy the houses. And then our lawyer was like, well, then just put that in the contract and we'll be good to go. Because that's really like the only issue, was that if they were to not pay, then your house might be gone. And she's like, she's like, no, we're not changing the contract at all. It is what it is. And he was like, you should also get a set date from them. And I was speaking to a contractor about it to get the extra work done. And she's like, you should get an exact date from them and then compensation if they go over that date of whatever. And I asked that realtor about getting that. And she's like, nope, you can't change the contract at all. And she was actually like really upset with us by this point because we just kept asking questions about the things that you could customize or just anything in regards. By this point, she was getting like really frustrated with us, and we felt like she just wanted to give it to somebody else. Somebody came up to her and was like, hey, we can give you like all of it in cash right now, but then because we reserved it, she couldn't actually take that up. So I think she's just trying to push us off away as well. But the company also only had like 10,000 crowns in equity, which is less than 1,000 Canadian dollars, which is also kind of sketchy. So we were like, okay, maybe we like passed up on like a really bad offer. So maybe it's just better for us, which also kind of just killed my birthday week because we came to that decision just a few days after. And I was like, I was really hoping to get a house for my birthday because I was like, we're getting old. I want a place to live. And like, I don't want to be paying this guy's mortgage because that's exactly what we're doing. That's exactly where our rent goes. It's this guy's mortgage. And so I'm just kind of getting sick of it. I'm kind of getting sick of living in an apartment in the middle of Prague. You go into like the city and you do your thing, and then you also have to like come back home to all of it as well because it's kind of just like everywhere. There's lots of people, there's lots of whatever. And it's like I want to go home and fully like relax. And that's why we're also looking at getting houses outside of Prague. So you really have that feeling. And it's like where we live, it's not like city center. It's not like Žižkov of Prague or like JZP where it's like downtown. You'll have tourists too once all that's up. I was just like, no, I want to be able to just take the same commute time that I was doing because to go to my last job, it was like a 45 minute to hour commute. And I was like, I'd rather just get a job that's in the city center and then live outside. And so I spend the 20 minutes to come in and I spend the like 15 minutes to get there. And so now I've got like a 35, even just say 45-minute commute again. But then I'm going to be in the city and then I can just fully leave. And it's like I go on a vacation every day and the weekend to like a vacation. The location that we're looking at is like north of Prague. So we could easily come into like Letňany, leave the car at the mall, and then go to work, and then come back. We can get all of our groceries and then just go home. Like, just to make it so much easier on everything. And then this job that I also got is really great for the long term as well because we are possibly, like, we're in the motion of getting stuff done so that then we could start a family. So we do have a few set things for that, and it's something that we came up with. So the first one is like my husband becoming Czech and then buying a house. And then I've got like a few medical appointments that I need to attend just to be sure that my husband's like just scared that something might happen to me because I'm like a really petite person and I'm already like a high risk pregnancy in the first place. So he just wants me to go to a few like doctor appointments just to confirm that everything would be fine if I were to carry a child and I would be able to do so to term and not have like a low birth rate and not have too many complications just due to my own health that I have as well. So that's what we have set in plan, and I have those appointments already booked in July so that I'll have money to pay for them as well because it's not that expensive to get genetic testing because that's the one that we have booked in July right now. They told me it's $1,200 crowns. So that's like super cheap. It's like 70 some dollars. I'll put up the price of how much that is. And yeah, so it's fairly cheap. And they're like, it's free as well if you can get like a gynecologist to sign on it. So I'll probably, like, I'm running out of birth control. So I need to make a gynecologist appointment probably for like early July. We're still working with my work schedule when exactly it will be and all of that for July. So that's why I was planning for then because right now it's kind of just like I need to always be in the office during the morning for training. And so by July, I should be able to be independent on my own, doing my own shifts. And so I would just pick whatever days that we're working on, and we're working for with the schedules for July already, just because I'm doing really, really well in the company. And so, yeah, I would just pick a day then, just bring my husband to her as well, see what the gynecologist says about me carrying babies and whatnot, just to provide him with more peace of mind. And then also then go to the geneticist appointment as well. And I'd bring him just in case the doctor doesn't speak Czech, or he wants to also check his genetics as well, because I was born with benign congenital hypotonia. And so basically it was just low muscle tone. It's like floppy baby syndrome. That's another form that the doctors call. And I really don't want to pass it on to my child because I'm not supposed to be here today. Should have died when I was 2. So I really don't want my kids to have that. And if I have a girl, I really shouldn't have any issues with delivering a girl, but a boy might end up having it and may end up passing because of it. And it's not something that my husband wants to go through either. Like, I don't want my own child to die, and especially because of my own genetics. But then we're also kind of confused because, well, my mom doesn't have it and my dad doesn't have it. So we're wondering where it sits in my genetics. If it's actually like a genetic mutation that occurred and that it wouldn't be passed on through my genes. And it's just like something that happened because my mom also had like a really rough pregnancy that could have made it happen. But yeah, so we're not fully sure on where all of that sits. So that's why we're getting these checks, just to be safe than sorry. Plus, my mom also has things like epilepsy. We have heart disease that runs in our family. And those are things that I'm fine with our kid also having. Like, epilepsy is pretty manageable, and there's lots of treatments for it. You can do medications. You can do just a different meal plan depending on what it is, like what causes the seizures. You just have to find the triggers and then prevent the triggers. So it's not something that I would have a lot of issues with, and I was there to, like, I've seen my mom go through it, so I'm like, I wouldn't really have an issue with dealing with a child that has it. But then I also have other factors like asthma, which is also something that's not that bad, but because of my asthma and my hypotonia, I spent like my first 2 years in hospitals all the time, maybe even 3, because once we moved to Winnipeg, because I grew up in a small town, like a small farming town in Manitoba. And so, yeah. So I grew up in a small farming town in Manitoba. It's called Portage la Prairie, or Portage la Prairie, whatever way you want to say it. If you want to say it the French way or the English way, it's whatever. It's mainly a farming community. And so every summer, the farmers would burn their crops so that they can grow back the next year. And so it causes a lot of like smog and smoke in the city. And so a lot of people that are pregnant there, their babies will be born with asthma. And it's also just another thing that happens in Winnipeg too. Like, you'll know a lot of people who have asthma. So it's kind of just a thing. And I think it has to do with the farmers burning their crops, or like smoking around, like secondhand smoking and whatnot as pregnant, or even smoking during pregnancy is also another major thing, because my dad also smoked around my mom and she didn't find out she was pregnant with me until the 5-month mark. So yeah, it could have also been that as well. So we're not fully sure on what the factors that were that caused that. And I have a feeling if I have the child in Prague, like, I don't think they'll have issues with asthma or their lungs or anything. But because I was in the hospital constantly. It's not something that you can have a job and do, which I know for me as a parent, I don't know. I'm someone who, like, gets bored easily. And, like, I need to be constantly doing something, even if it's just, like, mindlessly scrolling. I need to be, like, my mind has to be somewhere or in multiple things at once. And with a child, if I have to constantly, like, take it to the hospital and just wait in waiting rooms, I'm not going to be having, like, fun with it. And, yeah. And, like, for me, in the Czech Republic, they give you about up to 3 years of maternity leave. And unless I have multiples, I don't see myself fully using that. In Canada, they give a year. They just extended it to a year and a half, and I see that as more like convenient. And with my job, the main position was 4 p.m. to 12 a.m., but we're kind of going to be cycling through. And once I do have kids, which I expect it to still be like 2 years, 3 years from now, so it's not anytime soon. So my job doesn't have to worry about me leaving and paying for me and whatnot. They only pay for you for about 6 months, and then the government takes over from there, and then they only pay a portion of your wage anyways from both sides. But from that point on, like I only see myself using about a year, maybe a year and a half. And then also, but the position I would request to like mainly work in the evenings, just so then I can be up during the day with my kid. And then when my husband comes home, it's like, here you go. It's all daddy time. All like, they could give me a few like minutes, maybe an hour to put the child down for bedtime, and they wouldn't have an issue with that because they do also like allow us to scroll through our phones or watch videos while we're working, doing other things while we're working, as long as we get the job done. They really don't care about what we did in the meantime or what we are currently doing, just as long as the job gets done by the end of the day. So I don't think they would have an issue if I took maybe like 10, 15, maybe even an hour to put the child down for bed and then leave. And like I could even set up their room so that I could still like work in there if I am needed to be there necessarily, like if they're sick or whatever is going on at the time. So I think it would still be like a really beneficial like long-term job, and I'm really happy that I have this because it seems really good now, though I haven't been there very long to fully know. But it seems just really good, and I'm super glad for them. And yeah, I'm glad that it'll work out long term. So back to the housing thing. We are still currently, I found a few houses actually that is in where we want it to be, like north of Prague. And I found one that was a project, but apparently it's built because they called us yesterday and they told us that it's been built and he'll contact the owner to see when would be a suitable viewing time for it. So I'm actually really excited about that. And they should all be within our budget ranges because we also looked at ones that were like out of our budget and we stopped looking for about like 4 weeks. About 4 weeks. I was still looking, but my husband refused to look at any houses because he was dead set on this one house that was close to 7 million crowns. And we were approved for that amount. Oh, this is another thing. So with finding a mortgage, we were pre-approved for 7 million crowns. And then once we actually went to apply for it for that other house, they were like, oh, you're not Czech? Then you don't have this. You don't get this pre-approval. We can look into see what we can do for you, which is BS. And it's sad that they told us that it's because of our nationality, because that's super discriminatory. And that is still a crime out here. But banks are allowed to do it, just like the government is allowed to do it. Like they can just freely discriminate against you on your nationality, and that's fine. Basically, if you're not Czech or you're not EU, you're then a third country, kind of like a third world country, and everything is game. It's like, oh, you want a house? Well, we have this certain amount that we can give for foreigners from Ukraine, for foreigners from Canada. And I get why, because you might just leave and you won't be entitled to pay it back because, well, they can't find you if you're in Canada now. Can't find you if you're in Ukraine. And they're not going to spend the money to go and look for you in other countries as well. So that's why they would prefer EU or Czech, because EU countries are basically like provinces or states, just because they all work together. And so it'd be easier. And so, yeah, so now we're also trying to get pre-approved for a mortgage. And so I found cheaper houses than that 7 million one, around like the 5 million to 6 million range. One was under 5, like it was just 4.8, and it's fully built and it has like 6 rooms or something. So I'm kind of interested to see what it looks like. The 2 houses that are currently built, they would need work done on them, like new flooring mainly and full bathroom renos. Because I don't know why, but Czechs like really ugly bathrooms. Maybe I'll put up pictures. I'll put up a picture of this one house that we're looking at, and you'll see what their bathroom is like. Like, the toilet doesn't even face the wall. Like, that's how weird this is. And the bathroom is massive. That's another thing. Like, the house that we were looking at originally to buy, it was going to have a 16-meter squared bathroom. And I'm like, you probably only need 9 or even like 8, maybe 6. If you just want like a toilet, a sink, and a tub. I think 6 would be fine to fit all of that in there with maybe even a washing machine. Like, you don't need a 16-meter squared room. Like, you could... I built the house in The Sims because that's what I've been doing to see if I like the floor plans, if anything that I can change with the floor plans as well. Has been bringing me more joy while looking for a house, is me building it in The Sims, having my Sims play through in it to see what it would be like. And yeah, so with that 16-meter squared one, I managed to split it into 2 bathrooms. But what I wanted to do originally was take the back half of it and make it into a closet, and then so you could walk through. But they're like, okay, you can't get that customizable. So that would be something that you'd have to do. So that was another reason why I was talking to a contractor, was mainly about closets and storage space, putting them into the house. And so we found one house that actually came with all of that. Like, it had the additional closets, not like in the bedrooms, but it had like a pantry off of the kitchen, or even like a little storage space off the kitchen that you could turn into a pantry, which I thought was amazing because I was wanting one of those, as well as like a big like closet space when you walk in from the doorway. There was a door that you could go at the back, put a rack, put your shoes, you can put like strollers and bikes. Like, it was a pretty decent sized room, probably like 2 or 3 meters squared room that you could do quite a bit with, just right off. And yeah, that was a $7 million house that we can't afford now because husband's a contractor and I needed a job, and now I have a job, and now we have to wait 3 months before we can even get approved anyways. So yeah, I might even do some videos of house tours if we go and see any of them. I'm hoping that we can do that at least some point this week, either like Monday or Friday, and then I can do like house tour videos, so you'll see them the following week. It could be really, really nice to show that on my channel and show which one we buy. And I could even do like a little clip after and be like, this is what we need to change and whatnot, and this is my idea of it. We went to Slovakia this past weekend, which you're going to see in my next video, just a little kind of like bizarre thing that some students in Slovakia did. And I helped contribute to their business, and all their proceeds and the additional clothing that weren't sold are all going to be donated to charity, which is like really, really nice that they're doing. And so, yeah, so I bought some clothes from there, so you'll see that in my next video. But when we went to Slovakia, I was drawing up like the floor plans, what we could change, what needs to be done, so we could kind of see it all. And I don't think it all cost that much money, honestly. Like, I can't see it being any more than like 1,000,000 crowns max, and I even have a feeling it'd be less than that because everything's just so cheap in the Czech Republic, and that includes labor. Like, labor is pretty cheap for people as well. So, yeah, well, I'll let you guys know. You'll see some of those videos as well if we end up going to any, or if I even have the possibility of doing it, because sometimes it's like super awkward and weird. Like, I really wanted to do it with the one house that we were looking at, to like video it, show what it looks like and everything. But it's always been weird to just pull out a camera and start taking pictures and whatnot when you have a realtor with you. Like, they kind of make it weird, because I've wanted to do it with like places that I was going to rent as well when I was back in living in Canada, to just show my friends what it looks like and see like which one do you like better and whatnot. But it was always made like weird to do that. And like, people, like, they would just be like, you want to take pictures? Like, okay. And then it's like, okay, fine, I won't. Like, if you're going to be like that uncomfortable, like, I just won't. So we'll see what happens. But basically, that's been what's happened in the last 2 months. Me having a job, me dislocating my shoulder, having a job, and losing a job, and then getting a new job, and then the whole everything. That's what we've been planning over the past months, because once I hit 23, well, I realized that I want to have kids by 25. Like, that's when my biological clock is. I'm like 25. Because I know for me, and just being high risk, I'm going to not have any after 30. That's my biological clock from now to 30. So I'm like, probably have my first ones at 25, and then I plan like maybe 2 years if I even want more kids after that. Because if I end up with triplets, because you never know. If I end up with triplets, I'm done. I'm like, no, no, I've got 3 kids, even twins. I was like, if we want more after that point, we'll adopt. I was like, if I've got to manage like 2 babies, then after that point I'll adopt. And if I have 2 babies, that's when I'll need like 3 years off, and then I can just solely focus on them, because that'll be more than enough work of like 2 toddlers in one go. And like if they're both like, you never know what they're gonna be like. Like they could just be mini terrors. So you never know. And so that's what I plan on doing for that if that happens. And I'm like, yeah, I need 3 years. I need to just be a stay-at-home mom. Like, I can't do this. I'll decide after I actually push them out, but I'll probably get an IUD in and see how I feel about, like, I'll get an IUD that you can have while you're nursing. And then, yeah, we'll just see how I feel about having more kids after. So maybe like 2 years after, being like, do I want to have more? And then if I end up wanting to have more but don't want to like bear them, then we'll most likely just go with an adoption option. That's everything. This has been my update on what's happened through this past period of time. If you want to comment below, you can like and subscribe for the video. That'll be great. I'll see you guys all next week. Bye.